Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Brittany. Thank you so much for joining me today for another Whine Down Wednesday. If you would please consider subscribing before you leave, that would be awesome. And if you enjoy this video, please be sure to show me some love and give it a huge thumbs up. So this Whine Down Wednesday is going to be about my little girl and her birth story, which is totally awesome because her birthday is this Thursday, the 23rd, and this could not be more perfect to talk about. So go grab a glass of wine or your preferred alcoholic beverage and join me for this Whine Down Wednesday. So before I get into Ellie's birth story, I wanted to give you guys a little pregnancy background. So my pregnancy was totally not Instagram worthy. It was not glamorous, it was not beautiful, and it was not glowy. Props to the moms that make it look so beautiful. But yeah, I was super hormonal throughout my whole entire pregnancy. I literally ate all of the mint chocolate chip ice cream and I gained all the weight. And I'm not just talking like 20, 30, 40 pounds. I'm talking 70 pounds. Yes, 70. I'm going to give you guys a little story about how my hormones work. So I'm in the kitchen cooking dinner for my husband, chopping, I think it was a tomato. So I have a big chef knife in my hand, just going ahead chopping, and my husband says something to me. This is so embarrassing. I farted, almost peed myself because I farted. I started crying, laughing, and I was angry because I farted and almost peed myself. Yep. There were some cool aspects of pregnancy. One being was that feeling Ellie's first kick, feeling her move around my entire pregnancy. It felt like she was moving furniture around in there. She would literally just go side to side and my whole stomach would just like, and you could just see her whole head and body just go side to side. It was crazy. But that was probably the coolest part. The other stuff was just like unnecessary. Like the hormones were just like unneeded. So we actually decided to do a C-section with Ellie. I had always wanted one. I did not want to give birth naturally. I know I'm gonna get some hate about this, but I just didn't want to. I wanted to have a C-section. My insurance covered it. It was a done deal. I am OCD and I like to plan things. Hence why I got a C-section. We got to know exactly what her birthday was going to be. We knew exactly when she was going to be born, and it was awesome. So 2 days before Ellie was born, my mom and my stepdad flew in from Florida to get us all ready for Ellie's arrival. They bought us a huge chest freezer and they stocked it with all homemade freezer meals. The most amazing thing ever. It helped out so much because I didn't have to think about a thing after Ellie was born, which was like a huge help to me. So fast forward to delivery day. We had to wake up at 4 a.m. and we went to the hospital around, so we woke up at, so fast forward to delivery day, we woke up at 4 a.m. and we drove over to the hospital around 5:30 to get there around 6. So when we got there, we walked over to the labor and delivery, and I should say waddled. I waddled like a motherfucker. It's like my stomach was freaking ridiculous. It was not cute. It was not. So we get to the labor and delivery and the nurses give me our temporary room, and this is where it gets crazy. There's a lot of things people don't tell you about the whole giving birth and what happens behind the scenes. It's a beautiful moment, don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of things that just are unexpected. Basically, we get into the room and one of the nurses give me this gown and the socks and these wipes. You have to wipe your whole entire body down. Get your husband in there. Your husband's helping you wipe down all your crevices, getting you all sanitized and whatnot. And you get your gown on, have your husband tie it tight for you, and then you lay on the bed. So you think everything's fine. Laying down, you're actually pretty comfortable. Things are going good. My mom being her, she's like looking at the clock and looking at me, and looking at the nurses. Oh, is it time yet? Is it time yet? I'm sitting there in the bed. I'm like getting really nervous because it's finally hitting me that I'm going to be a mother soon. The feeling keeps just getting more intense. Nurse Gail comes in and she's like, okay, it's time to put in the catheter. So I'm like, you're gonna do what? What, Gail? I just met you. So fun fact, guys, have your husband shave your area or go get a wax if you feel uncomfortable with hair. Because homegirl, Nurse Gail, had to shave me because I forgot to shave. Yeah, that was interesting. If you're a new mom going to the hospital, just clean it up a little bit. 9 months, you're like, what? Do what? Shave what? So while she's, you know, getting catheter, you know, placed in me and whatnot, I am thinking the entire time, this is terrible. I don't want a catheter put in me. Once that catheter was put in, let me tell you, it was the best thing ever. I did not have to race to the bathroom every 5 freaking minutes to go pee. I just peed and it was awesome. I didn't have to go anywhere. I could just pee in bed. So good. So fast forward to about 15 of 8. My husband gets handed the daddy suit. So he's in the full, like, you know, mask, the hairnet thing, and the full scrubs and the shoes and everything. 8 o'clock rolls around. So I thought I was going to be rolled into the OR. No, they had me grab my catheter bag and I waddled the entire way to the OR. I was like, Gail, you're not the homie, man. I was like, you're gonna have me waddle with my freaking pee bag? She was like, yes, this is what all the moms do. I'm like, this is not a good look. And you know what? I think my ass crack was showing the entire way too. You don't get to wear underwear under that gown. So we finally get to the OR after waddling all the way there. And it's freezing, obviously. So I sit up on the OR table and Nurse Gail's there and she's like, all right, so you're about to meet all your doctors. So the first thing I asked all the doctors, I'm like, hey, so y'all are about to cut me open. Are y'all in a good mood today? They all thought it was like the funniest thing. And I was like, I'm not kidding. Are y'all in a good mood? They're all like, yes, we are in a wonderful mood. We had our coffee. Everything's good. I'm like, okay, that's all I wanted to know. So Nurse Gail says, all right, we're about to numb you. And I'm like, great. So she's like, all right, so lean into me. So Nurse Gail is standing in front of me. She was like, all right, now hug me. I hug her and I'm like hunched over like this. And then all of a sudden she's like, okay, now you're gonna feel a pinch. And then it was over and then I was numb. So they laid me down all pleasantly and I started going numb almost instantly. It was amazing. So they lay me down on the bed because they won't let you lay down by yourself. So they like manually lay you down. So I'm laying there on the bed and the anesthesiologist comes around to my head and he's just chatting with me. He's like, all right, if you need oxygen throughout this procedure, let me know because I'll give it to you. Some people have trouble breathing. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, it's common. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And then they put up the curtain, you know, so you can't see anything because it's like #gruesome. At this point, I'm just like kind of laying there waiting for the procedure to happen. And then the doctor, he goes, are you ready to see your baby? And at this point, you know, my heart starts racing because, you know, the whole time when you're pregnant, you're kind of like, oh, I'm pregnant, you know, it's beautiful. And then when you're about to see your baby, it's like, you can't even describe it. Like, the feeling is like probably one of the most happy, joyous moments in your entire life. It overwhelms you completely. So when he asked me that, I was just like, yeah, let's do it. Cut me open, get this baby out. At this point, I'm cutting me open and taking out all the organs and whatnot. And they tell you when they make the incision and when they're doing stuff, but they don't want to freak you out too much, so they kind of just like let you know, like little steps. So once the baby is about to come out, they bring hubby in. So he comes around and he's in his daddy suit. He's all excited and I actually had my oxygen on because it was harder to breathe than I thought. So right when they're about to pull the baby out, Dad is able to look. Zach looked a little bit too soon. So he got to see like everything out in its glory. And the doctor was like, whoa, don't look, don't look. So he comes back like all like, holy shit, what did I just see? They don't want dads to faint in the OR because that's like craziness. So he kept it together, he kept it cool. I would have killed him if he freaking fainted in the OR. I would have been so pissed. So anyway, they go, all right, Dad, are you ready to see your baby being born? So he can look now because everything is secured, or however they do it, because I just didn't want to know. So Zach looks behind the curtain and he sees our beautiful baby being taken out. Like I literally get like teary-eyed every time I talk about this. So then I hear her cry and it just all became real. The whole 9 months you're without wine, this is all worth it. When you hear that first cry and you see your baby for the first time, it surpasses all of that. After that, doctor hands her off to nurse. So the nurse takes her over to get weighed. Doing the C-section, they don't get handed to you because you have to be sewn up and put back together basically, which is fine. So I had my oxygen mask on and I'm like trying to like, you know, see what my baby looks like. So I see her kind of being put on the scale and I'm like trying to peer over and Zach's just like in all his glory, just looking at her. He's tearing up. It's just, it's adorable. And I kept saying, I want to see my baby. I want to see my baby. And the anesthesiologist, he's like, you're going to see her. Don't worry. And then Nurse Gail, the homie Nurse Gail comes over and she's like, you're going to see your baby. Don't worry, Brittany. Don't worry. And I'm like, no, I want to see her now. The other nurse that was weighing her on the scale brings her over and puts her near my face. To have the being that you grew for a whole 9 months actually next to you, you just can't describe it. It's just amazing. It's the coolest thing in the whole world. Like, you made that little baby that's the one that you feel kicking, freaking stepping on your bladder the whole 9 months, and that little bundle of joy is finally there. So once I got to see her and once I was all sewn up, they cart me into my room that I'll be staying in for the next 3 days. And this is when you get handed your baby for the first time. You want to like just soak in everything and you don't want to like miss anything. So you're like looking at your baby and you're just trying not to miss any moment, you know, of her blinking, of her moving her tiny little lips. You don't want to miss anything. So I'm trying not to cry this whole time. I'm just trying to stare at her as much as I can. And then they're like, all right, now you need to breastfeed. Surprise, surprise, Ellie did not want to breastfeed. I had every lactation specialist in the entire hospital tried to get this little child to latch on. Did not want to. Like the whole time I'm in the hospital, I'm like, can I have a breast pump? Can I have something? And they were like, no, let's just try to breastfeed. All right, this is a little like graphic, but whatever. So the lactation specialist, they will literally like grab your boob and like shove it into the baby's mouth. Like that's their job. Like they teach you how to breastfeed. And like most people are like, oh, you just stick the boob in the baby's mouth. No, 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 no. There is like, it is a lot harder. And I literally commend all the mothers that can breastfeed. I could not. Literally, I couldn't do it. Couldn't. And it's not because I didn't want to, it's just we could not do it. But I felt like horrible. I was like, you either get me a breast pump or I start feeding her formula. And of course, like they were like, no, 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 no formula. So I'm like, well then get me a freaking breast pump. Finally, they gave me a breast pump. I get to pump. She's happy. She's getting boob milk. Things are good. And then nighttime rolls around. So if you had a C-section, or I don't even know how vaginal births go, but C-section, you have your big freaking wound, right? So once your numbing goes away, it starts to hurt. So the nurses will come in and they will ask you if you want pain medicine. I'm starting to really hurt at this point. So the nurse comes in again. She's like, hey, so do you want any pain medication? And I'm like, yeah, what do you got? She's like, oh, we could give you some Percocet and some Tylenol or whatever, or Motrin or something. So I'm like, yeah, hit me up. So she comes in, she gives me Percocet. Within like 10 minutes, I'm like feeling bajillion times better. Like everything is just wonderful. So later in the night, we're about ready to go to sleep. Zach was promised like a cot to sleep in the room because the dads usually stay with the mom and the baby for the next 3 days. Zach doesn't get a cot. They're all out of cots. They're all being used in other rooms. Zach had to sleep on the floor. They gave him a blanket and like a mattress pad or something. Like he was just so tired at that point. He was like, yeah, I'll sleep on the floor. I'll do it, it's fine. So fast forward to the next morning, I could finally stand up. Awesome, it was so great to stand up. But super painful. You know, you have to like waddle over to the bathroom and they take the catheter away. So you can't just like pee while you're in bed anymore. You actually have to like walk over to the bathroom and pee again. So fast forward to the last night we were there. So you get basically different nurses every night. I had this nurse, I just put Ellie down to sleep. So this one nurse, it was like 1 in the morning or something like that. She like opens the door really loud. And mind you, like a newborn, they're like very quick to like wake up. So this lady like slams the door open and she goes, I need to check your blood pressure. And I like wake up, I'm like, I hear my kid crying and I hear this nurse. And I'm like, what the fuck? I had just fed, diaper changed, and swaddled Ellie and then put her to bed. Zach is like a super sound sleeper. He woke up from this lady. Zach picks up Ellie and he's trying to like ease her to like, you know, stop crying. And the lady comes over to me and she's like fucking screaming still. And it's like 1 in the morning. I'm like, can you lower your voice just like a little bit? Like I'm running on like no sleep right now and you just woke my kid up. She's like not lowering her voice at all. Ellie is still crying. Zach's trying to calm her down. Nurse is just talking fucking loud. So all of a sudden I'm like, lady, you need to stop yelling at me right now. She looked like bewildered. I'm like, dude, really? I just need you to like talk quiet to me. Just whisper. And then I felt bad. I'm like, I'm sorry for yelling at you. And she's like, okay. Oh my God. So, the next day, you're waiting to get cleared by pretty much everybody. Your doctors, your nurses, like everybody. For everybody to give you the check off to go home with your child. I am like the most impatient person in the entire world. So when you basically tell me that I need to wait on like 10 different people to give me like the A-OK, I'm like, well, when are they gonna do that? And finally, after doing the whole every 2 to 3 hours of feeding, nurse comes in and they're like, all right, you guys are good to go. Get all our suitcases and our bags and whatnot. We get baby and we walk out of the hospital. Starting to walk to the car and I'm like starting to like panic a little bit. And my mom and stepdad are at the house. They were at our condo at this point and they were getting everything set up for Ellie to come home. And then we get home, she's ready to eat again. So I'm like trying to pump. Having my mom and stepdad there was like probably the most amazing thing ever. So they bought us a chest freezer, fully stacked it with freezer meals. Like my mom made all her homemade sauce. She made like freezer meals for Zach, and she just did this while we were at the hospital for those 3 days, and she just fully stocked it so I wouldn't have to cook, you know, basically the whole month, which is like a huge weight lifted off a new mother's shoulders. Like, oh, I don't have to cook? Like, what? So that was like pretty wonderful. I got to sleep a little bit too. I hadn't slept in 3 or 4 days without being woken up, and it was just really nice. So fast forward to the end of the week, because my mom stayed for 2 weeks. My mom's packing up her car and I start crying. What's Zach and I gonna do now? We don't know what to do. My mom was like, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna be fine. And I'm like, I don't know if I am. Your natural motherly instincts kick in. Especially for me, I wanted my mom there every step of the way. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this little beautiful thing. Like, what if she cries and I don't know what she wants? And my mom's like, you'll figure it out. I promise you, you will. So they leave and Zach and I are left alone with Ellie. And it wasn't bad. We figured it out. So that night we brought her up to our room and she slept in her pack and play next to our bed, and that was it. And we just learned how to be parents. Now a year later we have a beautiful 1-year-old daughter, and it's really cool. So that about wraps it up for this video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video on Ellie's birth story. As always guys, if you have any future suggestions for Whine Down Wednesday or any other type of video that you'd like to see, please leave a comment down below. I would love to hear from you guys. And as always guys, have a blessed day. Bye.